Hello and welcome to another day in paradise, and welcome to another edition of the Unapologetic Negropian. In today's video, a massive humanitarian disaster is about to unfold within the borders of Africa. If you don't know already, Somalia is in a grave situation. 40 million people who are this close to not being able to see out the dry season. This is the third rainy season that Somalia has experienced no rain. Therefore, the farmers have not been able to grow any crops. We're talking widespread hunger, thousands of cattle passing away, and tens of thousands of men, women, and children. I can't even say the word here, but let's just say they are not in a good situation at this present moment. I need you guys to take a look at this.
The IMF this week said, quote, "The war in Ukraine means hunger in Africa." The World Food Programme is also warning of a catastrophe, saying half of the grain it uses to feed the needy originates in Ukraine. But not only that, it has also been forced to slash aid to some African countries because of the crisis.
So it's already having a global impact. We've already seen countries right before Ukraine crisis begin to destabilize, like Mali, Chad, Burkina Faso.
Let's first go to Somalia, where an almost forgotten humanitarian catastrophe is now severely aggravated by food aid being diverted elsewhere. Somalia is experiencing its worst drought in 4 decades. Millions are starving and being forced to leave their homes. Bearing the brunt are children.
We are only 5 kilometers away from Al-Shabaab-controlled territory. The Islamist terrorist group has a tight grip on Somalia. Daily attacks have become normal. But terror is not the reason why roughly 30,000 people live in this camp. The drought has made their villages uninhabitable. Johara Ali lost all her cows due to the drought. She has no food for her 4-year-old daughter.
My daughter is getting worse every day. She can't keep anything down and is vomiting. I tried to give her tea and powdered milk, but she gets diarrhea straight away.
There is no medicine in the camp. Visiting doctors decide little Ubach has to go to a hospital immediately. NGOs warn of a humanitarian catastrophe. Almost everyone here was a cattle farmer until the drought killed their animals. 3 rainy seasons in a row have failed.
Now guys, I know that there is a war going on, and I know that your television screens have been flooded by it. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, your screens have been totally saturated with what has been going on in the Ukraine. But that isn't even the biggest humanitarian disaster unfolding at this present moment. I wonder why these people are talking about what is happening in Europe and not what is happening in Africa. I won't even have to say this, will I? It's crazy that it's happening. But guys, we already spoke about the racism within the media and the way they have been communicating and dispersing the information in a different way than they would do if it was a conflict from a non-white country. But what I'm about to tell you today is probably the biggest sign of racism that I have ever seen. When I heard this story, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It was so blatant and in the face. It was like they didn't care. So what happened? Well, guys, I'm going to get into this. Please like, subscribe, share, and click the bell notification. Please consider supporting the channel on our Patreon. And please follow the Oversight channel. We're going to get into this, guys. It's important that you know about it. It's important that you share it and you spread it as well, because the mainstream media are not going to be talking about this. The United States of America has given out aid almost every year to Somalia, almost $300 million. That's an awful lot of money, you think, don't you? It is an awful lot of money, 300 million. And then last year they gave out an extra 200 million because the rains had not managed to come for the last 2 years, which means the people of Somalia were already on the tipping point. So of course everybody knew this was going to happen. Everybody knew that there was the disaster waiting to happen, that they were tinkering on the edge. How do they know? Well, because they knew that if the rainy season didn't come this time, that was it. They were going to absolutely struggle, and there was nothing they could do about it. So what did the World Food Programme do? Well, of course, they did what they always did. They bought in bulk, huge amounts of grain, food from other places, namely Russia, the United States, and the Ukraine. So I know what you're thinking. Okay, so these guys should be taken care of. The food is about to come in. Guys, I need you to take a listen to what happened.
WFP says the problem is being exacerbated by the war in Ukraine. Food supplies coming from there have dwindled, and some aid intended for Somalia has been redirected to Ukraine.
There's a number of donors at the beginning, they already told us there's some commodities are coming, heading towards us. Those commodities were already diverted in the sea, heading to Ukraine.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So the grain, the food was on the way to Somalia to help those people, to help those children, to help those families, to help those men, those farmers, so they could see out another year, and hopefully they would be able to save as many people as they can. And what did they do? What did the World Food Programme do? They turned the ships around in the water. They turned the ships around whilst they were at sea and redirected them to the Ukraine instead. That is unbelievable. Can you even understand that? Does it look like the people in Ukraine are starving? Does it look like they are struggling? They don't look like they're struggling for food, does it? It's clear that there are two huge problems, right? There are two huge problems. There are people in war. Of course, these people need food, but logistics, getting these people food from the West is not a problem, okay? It absolutely won't be a problem. Getting people food on a ship when most of the ports have been controlled by Russia anyway, that's going to be a massive problem. Why would they turn these ships around at sea when they knew these people in Somalia needed it? For me, this is a blatant racism. These people are worth more than these people. Okay, turn the ships around. One of those things. Sorry, can't help you. I cannot believe that they would even try and do that. In another act of blatant racism, you saw the amount of money that the United States is giving Somalia. $500 million, which is a substantial amount of money, I know. But guys, you got to remember that when this war started, the United States didn't know this war was going to start, but they put some money to the side anyway. And when the Ukraine needed money, when they needed money for weapons, magically the United States conjured up $30 billion straight away in an aid package. $30 billion. Didn't even blink an eyelid. 30 billion. But when they knew all these black people over in Somalia were about to transition because they didn't have that food, they struggled to get together. And not even a tenth of that. It's just unbelievable that we are still seeing this type of blatant racism today in 2022. Is it unbelievable? Actually, no. I'll take that back. It's not unbelievable. It's perfectly believable, isn't it? It's clear that there is something going on and there isn't much that we can do about it. In the next couple of weeks, you're going to start seeing children, black children, as we always see them, on our screens, with the flies on their face, and the big bellies all over our screens, and people are going to start asking those other stupid questions again. Why can't they feed them? Perhaps it's not a stupid question. Why can't we feed these people? Why are we going to the West? Why is that foodstuff coming from the Ukraine? Second largest continent in the world. We have so much fertile land. And yet when people from our continent get into trouble, what happens? We struggle. They don't even say that they're from our continent. They're part of the Arab League, aren't they? Where are their Arab brothers and sisters? What's happened to Saudi Arabia? Come on, Saudi Arabia. Why aren't you helping your Arab brothers and sisters? In Somalia. I think they call themselves Arabs, don't they? Why don't you help them out? Where is the UAE? Why aren't you helping out your brothers and sisters? Why are they in this position? It's absolutely crazy. We're going to have many children transitioning, and there is nothing we can do about it. But you can do one thing. You can observe, and you can see the way these people act. See the way they stick our children on the screens, and see the way they stick the Ukrainian children on our screens out here in the West. Look at the way they try to modify, the way they try to coerce us into thinking a certain way, the way they try to manipulate us into doing things. This media is disgusting. It always has been from day one. There isn't much we could do about it other than to not watch it. It's crazy that we have billions of dollars when it comes to sending people guns, but when it comes to sending people food, it seems as if the only thing we can send them are our thoughts and prayers. Until the next time, please think twice. Ta-ra a bit.